Hi, guys. Welcome. I say guys, ladies.
You can say guys.
Guys in disguise.
Well, that's a theme to talk about too.
Here in Brazil, a huge one.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome. I would like to call this a divine feminine chat. And I've been waiting for this for a long time and really excited to have you together. Nicole from Germany, or let's say from the globe, living in Brazil, and Una in Iceland, also a globe trotter, let's say. So excited to have you here. It would be great if you could just say some things about yourselves, that you can introduce yourself and maybe what you are doing and yeah, whatever comes from your heart.
Shall I go
Una,
first?
you would like to go first? Yes.
I'm obviously the pale one living in Iceland. My name is Una, and I am an artist and the mother of two, and married to my husband, Anik. We have a very close relationship. Found good balance in being married for 15 years. I am a spiritual person, but I wouldn't define myself in any way, because I know no one will ever understand me, and I will never waste any time trying to explain my spiritualism. But I am at the core of my being very interested in spiritualism, and very, like always looking for understanding, even though I know it's not possible. And over to you, Nicole.
Well, I loved your last sentences because I always try to understand. But the moment you think you can grasp an idea or an understanding, it's gone again. But in a way, I like that. It's this constant walking step by step, looking to the left and right, and staying open. It's one of the reasons I'm traveling at the moment. After being more or less grounded for these past 2 years, I know that it is really good to experience myself while traveling, because everything's open. There's no patterns. Well, of course, I do have some patterns. You always have, but a lot of things break up, and you have to refit or find yourself again in a different way. And most important for me on my trip is facing my fears. I really want to know all of them. And whenever I think, oh, now I got them, a huge spider turns up at night and shows me a new one. Which is beautiful. Yeah, and it's what I, apart from working with languages, and it's what I love to do, accompany or guide, be there, hold hands for people who want to discover their own deep, dark places and walk the path of healing.
Thank you. Nicole, would you say that you are a clairvoyant? Yes. And that you are a coach and guide with your clairvoyance as well?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Beautiful. I'm so honored to be traveling with you both on this uncertain path, like this, or path of wonder, adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what's going to come
Yes.
next? you know. Yeah, I'm Sólrún in Italy, also Icelandic. So, but I haven't lived really in Iceland for quite many years. I'm also, or have been the past 8 years, been facing my fears. Come on, come on. You know, all the comfort zone is pushed, and like Nicole, when something comes up and you think, oh, now I have conquered this, and then the next level comes up. But these past 2 years have been amazing, and I am a singer. I would call myself maybe not call myself anything, but I sing, and I couldn't be without it. I probably sang before I spoke as a child. It's just such a big part of me, and has been very interesting not to be able to give my sound to people for such a long time. So I was forced to use whatever I had at hand, which was the internet, and create online guidance. So
which I can recommend. First-hand experience.
Thank you. But now everything is sort of starting to open up again, and I have already traveled 2 times to Iceland and starting to give my intuitive healing sound to groups of people and workshops and so on. So this is my world. Did I say I'm in Italy? Can't remember, but I am in Italy, in Umbria. But speaking of that, this uncertainty, for me, the last 2 years it's over 2 years now, have been in many ways amazing. I got so excited when everything started to fall apart that I thought, oh, finally.
We've been waiting for this.
Exactly. It's happening because it is giving us an opportunity to create the new. So I was really high for months and months, exploring and following and reading and doing all these things into the night, and I'm usually not like that. So and of course it goes in waves, and you go into this area and that area, and you discover something new. And what both of you exactly said, it feels like everything you knew, let's say, not everything, but things you thought you knew, you don't know anymore, because it's ever changing, evolving, and so on. So I wanted to actually ask you guys about a theme that is that for me came up very strongly the first in 2020. Something that I have been sort of thinking about for actually years, and that's connected to false light, to sugar-coated messages, love and light, and underneath is perhaps a manipulating force. What would you say about that?
I had a very close friend with whom I haven't spoken to in 2 years. So same time as you were talking about, it exploded. It went from being one of the most nourishing relationships I had to reevaluating it and realizing that this woman did not have my best interests at heart at all, and probably never did. And it was only through my own belief that this was a nourishing relationship, that it continued happening. It was because I needed to have a good friend. I needed to experience myself as a good friend. And something on the inside was always gnawing at me, telling me like, but this person doesn't actually make you happy. This person doesn't actually nourish you. I connect this very much with false light. And I think the reason why I fell so deeply into this trap, and I have been, had been friends with her most of my adult life. So we're talking about a really long relationship. And the reason why I fell prey to this kind of relationship was because I grew up in false light. My mother was extremely toxic, and she used us in many ways, both to do things that she should do, just carry everything, the household cleaning tasks of whatever, buying her cigarettes or, like you name it, but also to give herself this feeling of that she was in fact a good mother. I got so used to this treatment that I slipped from that relationship as a young teenager into another relationship like that. And then when that wasn't really feeding me, I was starting to look for, once again, something outside of myself to make me happy, to give me this feeling of being enough. And getting out of that relationship has been the best thing that has happened to me in my adult years, apart from having my children and finding my husband. Like I'm talking about, like, outside of these good things that have happened, this is just like, it was immense energy shift that happened when I stopped putting my happiness in the hands of somebody else, like I had kind of always done, or was kind of used to from my mother. She would like make her happiness depend on me, and then to the outside world it was like, oh, I'm such a great mom, and everything's so good, and we're such good friends, and I love you so much. But then she would manipulate me and do all of these horrible things and disrespect my boundaries and disrespect me and show me no interest and really just not know how to take care of me as a child, and I think this is like what many people experience, and they then go and seek this fulfillment in these spiritual realms. They're broken, they're hurt from this experience, and then they continue that pattern with the spiritual leader, with a teacher, with somebody outside of themselves, And I think it was just very freeing for me to realize that I didn't need to be anybody's best friend. I didn't need to have a best friend. I needed to learn how to become my own best friend. And feel like that was enough. And I had to, I shut my friend out of my life from one day to the next. And I thought it was going to be temporary, but then it turned out to be permanent, because I simply felt so much better that I can't go back into that conversation even, or start this. And I had to also shut my mother out of my life. And these are things that people are afraid of doing, and they might be avoiding them altogether. And this is a kind of force that is sucking on your energy. And it's taking, this is this satanic energy robbing that is going on. And as long as you're not willing to look it in the eye, and I'm not saying that you should see yourself as a victim, but you can just see some things as not okay, and then you kind of start being able to step out of it. But if you believe that your mother is in fact good, that you are just so conceited or ungrateful for her, that you see her in a bad light, then nothing will ever change. And I think you can apply the same to spiritual teachers, I mean, you know, yes, they have helped you get to a place or something, but sometimes they're just not good for you. We have to be able to just say that and feel that and not be so ashamed and so afraid of the huge uprooting that will happen once you look it in the eye. Yeah, I'm done now.
Wow, that was a great, great explanation. Thank you, Una. Leading to manipulation, actually. And how it is easy to fall into traps of manipulation if you have a traumatic, let's say, upbringing, and the way you explained it, it was so good. What do you say?
The way the world is designed, in my opinion, it is made to fragment us, so we keep falling into smaller pieces. I mean, everyone who's born in a hospital has a huge trauma just from this moment of birth, huge one. It's where normally the healing journey starts or ends or whatever. And we lose connection to ourselves, but also to our soul, to our own wisdom, inner wisdom. Because if we are in contact, we don't need teachers. Maybe a teacher or a spiritual teacher could be good to show us a way to reconnect. And that's the moment the story is done, because then you don't need any teacher on the outside. And I think that's something we really need to learn, to listen to ourselves again and hear our own messages. The big part, not only the heart, but also the old knowing part that's been here forever.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we are being pushed exactly into trusting our own intuition over everything else. If you get the red lamps, listen to them. And I think exactly what Una said, the red lamps, they come up, but because you don't want to be ungrateful, and it's painful to end a relationship that has lasted your lifetime, and is not at all nourishing you, and so on. It takes guts to do this, and it's not easy. So, but the intuition tells you this is not okay. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've also ended several relationships. There is this wave underneath, but you're not listening. So, yeah. And then the spiritual teachers, of course, now, let's say things are coming up to the surface. So it's like a 75% of what they're saying sounds good, sounds, wow, this is something that I resonate with. And if you're not careful enough, the 25% that is underneath and you don't notice, because the majority of their messages or their agenda or whatever is very good, you fall into the trap of manipulation.
I think we tend to get caught in the duality. Mm-hmm. We live in a 3D world, and we do have this duality. But for me, my way out has always been the one step above, where both sides of the coin, like victim and predator, or Ahriman, which is Satan, and Lucifer, or whoever it is, you can only walk out of it if you find this next level where you can enter into a new space of wholeness where they come together. For me, I call it the space of nothingness, where I can connect and hear the other levels without being caught in this duality. But it took me a long time to work through it and really understand how these traps work.
Mm-hmm.
A person who's a victim, and I was a victim, I felt like one, until I understood, okay, but where's the difference? As long as I behave like this, I hurt others, and then I am on both sides of the coin. I'm also the one attacking because I feel I'm a victim. I have got the right to do so. No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And even if bad things happen to me, I have no right to continue this path of passing on to others the same level of horrible things. Maybe not physical, but then on a psychological level, which is the more common one, and which is harder to differentiate. Like, as you said, with your mother, the toxic relationships. A lot of us have been there, and it's really hard to see them on that level. But there's no difference for me now as I see it to our body reactions. If someone hits you or screams at you, it's the same reaction of hormones and our brain going into the reptile part, flight or fright. It's the same reaction. So you can hit verbally, and that's as bad, or sometimes worse, because you don't know what's going on.
Exactly. And it's not so much talked of. There's a lot of talk about sexual abuse, violent physical abuse, but not so much about let's say spiritual and verbal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And it's, in a way, it's deeper because it's not tangible.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to say something, and I can feel it.
Because we're talking about this duality.
Yeah.
I had this, I kind of envisaged it as a endless 8 loop, lying on its side, and the one side is fear, and the other side is love, and the dot in the middle where the 2 lines cross, that is where I wish to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I go too much into love, I will find a way to make room for my manipulative mother, or and it needs to be just okay for us to be in the middle, centered in ourselves, in our being, that accepts both of these realities. And from there, nothing can really harm you, because obviously you try to sway more in the love direction, but life brings you things that sways you more into the fear direction, or love, either way, and I think it's just really healthy to remember this middle point, to be okay with being neither, neutral. I know it doesn't really sound like something that a spiritual person would say, that you shouldn't always be in love, but I feel like that is what made me then go into fear all the way over. If you're in one extreme, you will be, it will pull you into the other extreme. So if we just bring it home to the nature that is neither ugly nor beautiful, nor evil nor good, there's so many things that are they just are. And then we don't need any healing, you know.
Mhm.
Then we accept the fact that we are simply here, and that healing is happening as we take another step in the right direction of this center, you know, centered being. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
It's very exactly. I think we're all. You go ahead, Nico.
No.
No, I was just going to say. Also, in the middle, I totally agree. It's acceptance and appreciation, but also a non-judgmental position. Doesn't mean that you don't discern things, but you don't judge them. You allow them to be. And I think also the more, maybe this sounds awkward or awful, the more evil you can contain, the more you are able to stay in this neutral position. You see what I'm saying? If everything that is out there that's happening that is horrible and evil, and you're blown off your balance every time you hear something or you experience something, then you can't stay in your middle. Mm-hmm. But if you can stay in the middle, no matter what's going on and no matter what's happening, how evil it is, then you're able to be non-judgmental and in the middle. And I think sometimes I know exactly what you're talking about by being too much in the love vibration. It's a balance of both. It has to be grounded somehow. And I think also if we are in the middle, we are also in the center of no expectation.
That's why I call it nothingness.
Exactly. You give and of course receive as well and expect nothing. But if you go into this, ungrounded love vibration, there's a lot of stuff hanging on there that easily can flow you over to the fear or the other side of the equation. Huh?
Often when I work with people, ancestors show up because they often also want the whole system to heal. Heal, maybe it's the wrong word, but I haven't found a better one. To get better.
They want things, energy.
And they want things to be seen so they can finally just be. This is a good word, maybe. And sometimes they had to take decisions out of love for their family, which really harmed a lot of people. Again, and it's working, especially with ancestors, has really helped me to not judge, to be respectful and just listen to the stories without judging, so that they can just be seen. And then they can be, they can go, they can transform. And they really need to speak out if horrible things happen. They just need to be able to show why this human I'm working with is in such a bad condition, that something bad happened back then. And if the moment you judge, they would not show up. They would just not be able to talk about these things. And it's beautiful because, this neutral space really allows a lot of things to come up. But you have to be able to look at them. It can be tough.
Yeah. It's actually leaving the victim consciousness. So that's been interesting these past 2 years is all your programs, your old outdated habits have been coming up to face and work on, and it's been very interesting to see them all popping up. Hello, this, you need to look at this. And yeah, so manipulation, and what do you say about possession when somebody get possessed, let's say, with another kind of energy, a lower vibrating energy? How would you express that?
In my opinion, my mother, for instance, was hosting a lot of entities, that would feed off her feeling like a victim of having had kids, victim of not being a man, a victim of her horrible childhood. And what I think in a way was just lacking was gratitude, So for me, like, gratitude has changed the way I perceive my life. If I'm experiencing something difficult, I'm hating my job, I remind myself to be grateful for the fact I get to pay my bills with this stuff, I go and I get the feeling of doing something with my life, which I'm now about to go change, since we're moving to Italy and we're not going to be working as 9-to-5ers anymore. And I'm very, very happy about that, but I don't think I would have even gotten there if I wouldn't have been grateful for every single teaching that these possessions, these entities have brought my way. Only by suffering did I notice how bad it felt, and being grateful for this entity, in a way, messing with me so hardcore, be it, friends that aren't really friends, or just somebody's energy, you obsessively thinking about things that aren't in your control. They just teach you to focus on your things that are in your control. And gratitude is, I feel, just like a big key that we, as we are being, it's being hammered into us to not be grateful. How can we be grateful when the earth is dying? How can we be grateful when the earth is overpopulated? How can we be grateful when there's a deadly virus on the loose? All of these things are just made to make us feel like this life isn't enough. And that is in and of itself like a possession of ungratefulness, and of the belief that we are broken and you need to go and look for something on Amazon to fix yourself, or it's like, it just goes on and on and on, like we are collectively possessed by the thought that we have nothing to be grateful for. And that is keeping us in this devil energy, basically, in this like inertia, or in this lifelessness, instead of finding our own strength. And I mean, it took a lot for me to realize that I wanted to move to Italy. Before that, I used to be super addicted to smoking weed. I would smoke weed. If I could have, I would have been stoned every day, all day.
You should come to Pipa.
No, I don't want to. Like, I got rid of that, and that was a possession. That was a demon that was feeding off my insecurity about being an addict, a child of an addict, and I am an addict and I can't do anything about it, and I'm a victim and I have nothing to be grateful for,
Nowadays you're told that weed is a healing plant.
Weed is a mind-altering substance.
I know.
And I mean, you can definitely experience some healing, but for me, like, I've smoked it since I stopped smoking, and I just took a piece of paper and I wrote down everything that was happening to my body as I was, did a little bit of research, like, what is it? I could feel myself missing it. And I was like, what is it that it does for me? And yes, it makes me a little bit more socially relaxed. You know, I can kind of like, I'm less judging on myself and my own behavior. So I kind of message people and la, 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 you know, but that's the only plus. Everything else was, I have really high heart rate. I'm really self-doubtful. I procrastinate. I get lazy. My body shuts down. I just want to lie down and be lazy, you know, and this is just, it took me to get rid of that so that I wouldn't have a pacifier, you know, just like whenever I was feeling the pressure from life being shit, I would just have a pacifier, you know, just like, oh yeah, I'll just smoke another joint and, you know, and forget about it. And then when I stopped smoking weed, I realized like, oh, I'm still unhappy. this isn't either. Like now I'm just really pissed off at my job. And I think they're using me and they're paying me very little and they make me work in this horrible, unhuman environment. You know, and they keep changing my schedule and da-da-da. And even if I went and found another job, I've had great jobs and I still hated them. You know, I just don't like jobs.
And suddenly you could feel all that, right?
Yeah. And I could feel the rage inside of myself. And I could, for the first time, allow myself with a clear head, not just some stoned ideas, you know, because whenever I would have this idea before, I would be like, oh yeah, that was just a lean stoned idea from last night. Forget about it. Go to work, do your thing, you know, like tush tush. And you know, I just couldn't escape it. So I was just like, okay, what is it, Una? What do you want? And I closed my eyes. I turned my recorder on, and I decided to see myself in the absolute best scenario that I could possibly imagine, and took the power back. I was like, okay, I've got this one life. I am wasting it on a dead-end job. You know, yeah, I could maybe become this and this there, yeah, but I still wouldn't be happy. I know this. So I took the power back and imagined what would my life look like. I meditated on that for a bit, told my husband about it. He just reacted like I had like turned on some kind of like, you know, TNT, you know, it was like, and then it just is now happening, you know. I'm now moving to another place in this world where you can grow food, where you can not live a 9 to 5, you know. And all this time I was just sitting on this energy, feeling, and life was always trying to like, what is it that you want to do to be happy? Is it making jewelry? Is it going to skrauthólar? Is it going, you know, practicing yoga? Is it learning about healing your trauma? You know, and all of these things, yes, they have helped me, but nothing like the feeling of taking the power and living my life to its fullest.
But I think this is like when you're in your job and everything is kind of in a box. You receive your payment, and yes, a lot of the money flows into other channels, government channels, whatever. But you pay for feeling secure. It's a deal. And that's what this matrix in a way is about. Do you want that? Feel unhappy, but you've got the deal? Or take the power into your hand, move on, and then see what else there is to carry you through. And it's an amazing feeling, as you said. And then gratitude comes in automatically. And for me, gratitude is actually, because love, define the feeling of love. Gratitude is something more tangible. And for me, the moments like when I swim with the dolphins and they come close, especially the baby one, I could burst. For me, this is something where I think this is love. Love is not something you can define. But this pure feeling of thankfulness is so deep, and it's something that opens the heart and makes you flow. Everything flows and feels wonderful.
Wow. Yes. Exactly.
Thanks for your story.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's really good what you said with the job, you know, like it kind of ties in what Sólrún was saying earlier with the 75% is good, but then that 25% is really manipulative and bad, you know, and so we kind of allow this treatment because the 75% is good. But
and we're taught to have so many fears of moving out of this because you don't do that.
yeah,
What do the neighbors think, or what do your friends think? No, behave, stay in the box.
like the majority of people who have told we're moving to Italy, they say, oh, that's my dream. That's my dream. That's what I dream of, you know, like that's the majority. And the first question that people ask me is, and what are you going to do for a job over there? You know, and I say, live life, become a farmer. I don't know. I'll see. We'll just have a little look, see what comes our way.
And for sure, a lot of good things will come. I've had so many miracles happen since these past 3 months, and so many new things coming up, and it's yeah, life starts to be a miracle, and you can see it because you're moving and you're not fixed to one point. You start to move, and then things are more fluid, and all our support we always have support, but normally we cannot accept it, or we block it out.
Yeah. I wanted to tell you, of course, the entities you talked about, the entities are sucking or getting attached to us, and we open up for lower vibes when we get stuck in our own lower energies, or let's say programming and habits and so on. But I've been working a lot with that for years. But I did a very interesting ritual for myself last Thursday. Just before I tell you that, when my ex-husband was drinking a lot, I could not sleep next to him because I could feel all these lower entities and I could see them sucking, hovering above him. And he would actually ask me, can you cleanse me? And so I would do a ritual during the night sometimes to cleanse, and he would then fall asleep. So I know how important it is that we, are aware of what's around us. But I did this ritual, and then the next night, a being came to me and woke me up and was standing right next to me, and I saw its finger. It was a female, rather short, beautiful, not a human, and had a long finger, very interesting, and pointed at my neck or throat and said, "Brava," and I left.
Brava.
Brava. It was just a very just one word, but it means, what you did was very, very good and intense.
Well
and
done.
Yeah, well done. So it was just so beautiful. I wanted to go and hug it because so it was very, very nice. But
well, the thing is, the moment we're traumatized, we make space for entities because because parts of us leave the body often if it's a deep trauma, if it's a shock moment, and then they can easily take space. And you can see that in people who change personality. frequently, then
Yes.
this is not the person that you maybe got to know or love or whatever, but it's two beings.
Exactly. But this is also what I feel, what we talked about before, about teachers who have this manipulative energy and who are actually possessed. Somebody is really working through them. May they be aware of it or not, I don't know. But they have an agenda that a lot of people are not aware of because they are possessed, but they present something that seems to be, like I say, pink and sugar coated, and but it is something completely different. And how actually in all of my work for many years with narcissism, with psychopathic elements, bullying, and all of these things, it takes a practice to go into all kinds of different areas of this, to recognize this manipulation. A lot of people are too, let's say, too open, too good-hearted, too naive, or whatever. Also, maybe traumatized. Also, what you're saying, Una, about your upbringing, to recognize what is going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How do you?
And
Yeah.
in the end, both sides suffer. The soul that gave part of the body to a different entity, but in the end, these entities, once you see them and bring them to light, and not in the sense of love and light, but to light in the sense of out of the cellar, they often do appreciate that. Because
Yes,
in a way, they're also stuck
of course,
and following this
absolutely.
agenda, but once they're allowed to move on, they do appreciate.
Or appreciate it depends on where they come from, I think, from which realm they come from. Some people say that when you send them love, they can't stand it and then they leave. Others, like you say, need the love in order to enter the light. So I think it is on both sides of the coin, like you say. But
Normally, I just look at them. I don't send anything. I ask for help, and then this other level knows better what they need.
Yeah, sure. That's a good way to do it, of course. But I was attacked. Otherwise, I haven't been attacked for a long time. But I was attacked a few weeks ago, and it was quite intense. And I decided to just say, "I love you. I love you." And I really sent it my love, and then it left. But it was quite interesting. So, but it's probably better, like you say, to open up a channel to send it whatever this entity or whatever energy needs. And I'm sure what you're saying too is the being who is being possessed or overtaken also suffers on some level, consciously or unconsciously, So,
I would think a routine that repeats itself, like, you go to work, you go home, like I did, get stoned, feel bad, get more stoned, feel even worse, pull yourself together, cook some dinner, sit with your family, feel bad, go to sleep, go wake up, go to work, go home. If you become too basically predictable in your suffering, and it's got nothing to do with anything outside of yourself anymore, then these entities, it's like a radio station that is always on certain times, and if they, like, To me, it feels like it's another world that I don't understand it. I will never ever be able to understand it, and I will have to kind of like meet myself in this ex middle that we talked about earlier. You know, this where I'm not. I one time tried in meditation to kind of like see what was happening. I had this vision of like a humongous valley filled with little black clouds, like this kind of like a mist, a black, you know, like in Harry Potter, those entities, those dementias, and they were just hovering. And I opened up a portal in the sky, down beamed like a huge white light, and they all started accumulating, you know, they all went towards this light, you know, and then it was starting to kind of get really, really, you know, traffic jammed up there, you know, and I just, the thought came to me, I was like, what have I done? I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I have no right to just send all of this energy into this white light hole, you know, in the sky. So I just pulled them all back down and opened my eyes and just like, I need to neither be in the love loop of like, I am almighty, I can heal these powers, I can, you know, help them, I can heal all of it, you know, like, nor do I need to be in the fear of what the fuck am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing, you know, but I need to just be in the, I'm a human being in a human world having this human experience. And that for me is enough, because I can't control both of those worlds. Like, but I can definitely put up shields towards when I start feeling attacked, when I start feeling, you know, and I've thrown out countless people from my field, you know, being like, stop coming into my mind and fucking with my energy and trying to live here, you know, and just placed like all kinds of shields around our house. And it's kind of like a habit every night before going to bed to just put like a bubble of peace over all of us, you know, each of our my family members, and the cat and the house, and, you know, like a cleansing ritual of just keeping safe. But I will, you know, I will not experiment with this anymore, you know. And I also feel like after I stopped being addicted to smoking marijuana, this has gone, you know, it's like 99% of this just evaporated, you know, because most of it was connected with how I perceived myself to be somebody who was so addicted that they would never be able to stop, you know, or how if I would be different, I would be such a better person, but I couldn't become that because I was so addicted, you know, this shame, basically, shame. And I think they really, really love self-pity, you know. That's like their favorite.
Rudolf Steiner says every thought is an own entity. So we've created all this in a way, and that gives me peace. I created it, and now is a good time to create something different and accept that part, because I was part of it in all these many lives to also create the so-called dark or negative side.
Yeah, we needed that to learn what we needed to learn to get where we are now.
Exactly.
And that's
remember who we are.
Yeah, something to be grateful for.
Yeah. I also, you mentioned a good point. A very important point is that we're not here to save anybody else. We're not here to, we be the change we want to see in the world. We create the new world ourselves by focusing on what we want to see. But we can't control what other people do. And it's not our role to make them see or make them change or wake up or whatever. It's everybody has their own path, their own journey. And I think it's very important that we respect that. We can be inspiration for others, maybe, whatever. But by staying, strongly in our light and be sovereign as much as we can. That's the most inspiration, I think, for others, to be true to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to go back
ahead.
to that point of protecting. I always had this idea, let's take a villa, which has a huge fence and all these systems to keep out burglars. Burglars tend to try to break into the places that are best protected because it attracts. It's kind of, again, the duality. So I always thought, if something happens or someone attacks me or whatever, there's still something inside of me I can look at to grow. So I kind of, I have the habit of protecting myself by looking at the situations inside. Okay, why does this happen? What does it trigger? And if it's true that we live 90% of karma, then it's often hidden things that are coming up. Or I meet a person that in some past life, maybe I harmed him or her, or the other way around, and we have to meet to fix this old situation, and then each of us can depart in peace. So for me, I often take it as a path of growing even more.
Yeah, I would understand this as like that the fear is unnecessary, that nothing can harm me or my family anymore. There's nothing that can penetrate our life.
Especially if you're in this middle part. I think that's our safe place because we're neutral.
Because it comes from a place of fear. You're completely right. It comes from a feeling of being under attack. But I think that might also just be my old nervous system programming, because I grew up in fear. I feared what would happen next. We were, we moved from Iceland to Berlin. Then we went home every summer for 3 months, and then back to Germany, where I had missed out on school every single time I started school again. And then we moved to Iceland, and then we moved to America, and then we moved to Iceland, and then we moved to South Germany, and then we moved to, it was just like, where are we going to move to next?
Same story.
It's so devastatingly tiring, but I have found the gratitude for it. I mean, it affords me the possibility to now not feel, I'm not afraid of moving to Italy. I'm not afraid of what I will do for a job. Like most of my friends, oh my God, that's my dream. But what are you going to do for a living? It's like something positive. But here, back to reality, and the reality is there will always be something that you will figure out once you get there. You can't know what's on the other side before you're there. And I've been working a lot on letting go of fear. I think fear is something that is instilled in us constantly through the media. Like if you open up Netflix, it's like, a man was murdered, a woman is killed, a child is missing. It's like, it is so hard to find something that isn't either brain dead, like, I'm not saying Netflix should be anything that people, should be getting into or watching or anything, but this is the entertainment that is the most accessible to us at the moment. And what it is just like, make unhealthy food, look at really ridiculously rich people sell some places, or really, like out of touch people fall in love, or murderers and killers, and like,
and
so many.
Be afraid of the sun. It's also a murderer.
And the planet is dying, and all of this is full of propaganda. And working against fear means that you also just have to, like, in a way, shut down all of the things that are being communicated to you. You need to live in your own bubble, and then you become afraid of being out of touch. It's like a never-ending story.
I have been out of touch for 30 years and I'm proud of it.
I never
I'm
look
also-
at the news, but
yeah.
I'm happy to have never had a
I once had this experience that on the news, a bomb in Istanbul had exploded and whatever. And some friends were there at that moment. And it was a, how do you call these toilets, the movable ones? It was a small toilet house. And there was a small poof, with a little bit of smoke. And that's it. That was the bomb attack of terrorists. Yeah. So, whom are you kidding?
Yeah. We have to be very good at discerning what's going on and really look away from the mainstream media. I would say that's very healthy, and follow our guts, follow our intuition, because I've been feeling that so many things are off ever since I was a child. So. But I was very alone in the world with all those thoughts and feelings. So I was very happy when 2020 came and I didn't feel so wrong again,
But a lot of the so-called critical stuff is also programming. And I see some messages which keep coming up every half year, which are supposed to create hope. And that is also a method to wear you out. You create a situation of fear and you keep creating hope, which then does not come true. And you break people with that. Because,
Also,
every time you have this energy, it's going to be better.
And then you stop believing in the hope. Because times.
Yes.
It's loving what is and be in the now. That is the best place to be.
And
it's also
not waiting for the savior. Because hope is
Exactly.
also a savior in the outside. Something will change because someone will fix it. No, if I don't fix it, who will?
Exactly. On this note, ladies, beautiful ladies in Brazil and Iceland, I would like to hear your text, Una, as the last
Me too.
thing.
Yeah. It's already 1.5 hours, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Let me add another couple of hours to that.
But we have to do this again.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is of my experience of seeking this outside, these outside forces to heal me. The text is called Mother and Father in the Countryside. Under the mountain of knowledge and enlightenment live my mother and father, the perfect parents I never had. They are spiritual and much more free than I could ever be. They breathe the hillside air and bathe in ice-cold streams. They sit by a fire and they know what to do. They know what I need, aligned with the truth. They have found a way of being and they can help me, or so I thought. Help me with the hurts from my city-dwelling parents and friends. Help me see these people are to blame. Help me realize how much I need healing. Help me transfer my power to them. They will engulf me in their ceremonies, give me sacred medicine, guide me in my meditation, and be my connection to a new substance. They will feed me from their dumpster divings. They will receive my money for it. They will have countless other children knocking at their door, and they always open up, even though I would have loved their undivided attention for just a second more. My father pokes me in the ribs. I don't like it. He hasn't asked my permission. When confronted with what it is that he wants, he says he just wants my love. My mother won't let me close to her. When I speak to her out of compassion, she utters random words of wisdom that don't feel personal in the slightest. She doesn't want my love. They want my family's energy, but nothing more than that. No honesty or shadow work, because they only want energy. I am so lonely, I am so hurt, I am so powerless and abused by our society. I didn't realize until I saw the society that they had created. And I didn't realize how much they needed me in order to do so. Am I worthy? I can prove that I am. that I too can be as free as they seemingly are. I see now how I long to need them. Interdependence is beautiful. I know how I can make them happy. I attribute all my growth to them and advertise them to my friends. I brought my family, but when I look at them, I realize I already have it all. So I leave for the toxic city, return to my social standard and get a job. My art won't pay and I hate the pressure, but some pressure is unavoidable. I love my mother in the city. I love my father in the city. I love my friends, even the toxic ones, although I do not give them my light anymore. I love and am loved by my family. I love our society, even with its flaws that I refuse to bear the burden of. I can create the life that I want. I see we need collective healing, and I'm ready to do my part by starting on my own life and making a good life for my kids. Without substance addiction, without being addicted to people, without needing nature to heal me or special ceremonies or settings. I need no experts. I only need trust. I am enough. I am nature. I am fire. I am broken, but life is fixing it. Her relationship with religion has been tainted. She believes in Jesus. He is a religious leader. She lived in Bali. He's a yoga teacher. We will connect with everything and everyone other than our social norm, looking for fulfillment for a broken ego. I was at the end of a very thin rope when all I could do was pray like a child. Out of desperation, I stumbled back to the God I had the closest connection with. It was a pure accident, and then I started looking at why I had taken that source from my life. I had done so out of rebellion, but never found anything to fill the void. I felt strange talking to South American spirits, beating drums from another world, practicing things I did not grow up with. I now know why. This religious spiritual connection was there all along, waiting for me to find my way back, ready to forgive me for going on a tantrum. Christmas and Easter, church bells and hymns, I was connected, but now I stand by it more than ever. I went to the mountain to avoid my relationship with the faith that I have, to look for something new instead of mending the old. But cacao closed my heart. Now my heart has never felt more open. I have given up substance abuse and I learned so many things about myself. How spiritual indeed I am, how much I need to feel connected to a bigger power, how God is always on my mind, how I adore good gospel music, how my faith and trust has grown by letting go of the need to heal and be more than what I already am. With acceptance of my religious self came acceptance of me as a whole. No one will ever fully understand me, and that is okay. I don't need to prove myself to anyone, nor will I ever fully understand another human being, but I really enjoy trying. With giving up a few codependent relationships, I got to know how truly powerful I am. Now I don't need anything outside myself. Now everything is a simple bonus for what I already have and have always known. For this, I'm grateful beyond measure. And in that gratitude, nothing will ever threaten to make me feel less than ever again. And I will light the fire and be the mother and father in the countryside for myself and my family.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I wrote this especially for this meeting, so.
Oh, wow. Thank
It
you
was
so
like-
much. I get goosebumps, you know. all
Me
over.
too. I think we can close with this. No words necessary.
No words
Lovely.
necessary.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much for being here. I love you both dearly.
I love you too. Thank you so
And
much for this.
talk to you soon.
Yeah, let's. Bye.
Bye.